G'day headbangers and welcome to Dozel's Metalworks. Welcome back my fellow metalheads to another edition of Dozel's Metalworks, and I'm a happy chappy this week. My fiance is back from the Philippines. Unfortunately no jiggy jiggy like I said we were going to do, but yeah, it's good to have her back. 5.5 weeks is a long time without the I don't know, the woman of your dreams, the love of your life, and stuff like that. So it was so good to have her back. We got her a new car after her accident before she went away. So yeah, it's been a pretty good week. So I'm happy chappy, and Rex had a bit of a good time up there in Queensland. The real ironic thing is we both saw Deadpool and Wolverine the same day within an hour and a half of each other at a Limelight cinema, which took about freaky as all hell, eh? But yeah, if you get a chance to see Deadpool and Wolverine, my friends out there, oh by golly Jesus, fair crack of the whip, fair suck of the sav. It's probably my second Marvel movie, favourite Marvel movie now, behind Endgame, because nothing will beat that one. The cameos in it were freaking brilliant. I'd say put it in Dozer's vault, but it hasn't been released on DVD yet, so we can't do that. But yeah, since we missed last week, I said to Rex, okay, we're going to do a big one this week. So, this week's countdown is 1988. Probably one of the best years in metal in my eyes. But I couldn't do just a 10. My friends, this week we have 20 albums from 1988. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, number 20. Straight off the bat, we have Go Off by Cacophony. Now, these guys only ever had the 2 albums. Marty Friedman, as you know, went on to be part of Megadeth, and now he's doing his own solo stuff in Japan, where he's a big star. Jason Becker, unfortunately, got a condition where he's now in a wheelchair, but he still writes songs and music, which is great. Anyway, track number 1 we have is Sword of the Warrior. Number 2 is the title track Go Off. And number 3 we have the song Black Cat, Meow. Number 19 we have Winger and their self-titled album, Winger. This was their debut album, released in '88. Lead singer Kip Winger. I listened to some of his solo stuff, it was kind of bleh. So yeah, Winger, they were pretty good in my eyes. So number 1 is 17. Number 2 is Madeline, however you want to pronounce that one. And number 3 is Purple Haze. Now, kind of cheating here because that's actually a Jimi Hendrix cover, but still pretty sweet anyway. Number 18 we have Them by King Diamond. Great cover for this one. Favourite track on that is Welcome Home. Then Bye Bye Missy. And then T. This was the second album I ever heard from King Diamond. Yeah, pretty good. Probably my second favourite album, even though I haven't really listened to it that much, because I'm pretty much, when I listen to King Diamond, it's pretty much always Abigail. So, yeah, there you go. Okay, number 17. You'd think these guys would be further down on the list, but alas, no. But we have Slayer with their album South of Heaven. Now, favourite tracks for this is South of Heaven, Silent Scream, and Spill the Blood. Moving along in the thrash category, we have The New Order by Testament. So we have Into the Pit at number 1, The Preacher at number 2, and number 3, Day of Reckoning. Now, with a lot of these, some of these albums, even the earlier metal albums from the 80s, I still can listen to and sit down and listen to them, because I haven't really listened to the real early albums of some of these bands, but sometimes it's easier to pick songs than others, so yeah, that's why they're above Slayer. Okay, the next one we have here, some local boys, so to speak. Blow Up Your Video by Akadaka. AC/DC, best Aussie band ever. And yeah, their number one from them, from that album, is Heatseeker. Then That's the Way I Want to Rock and Roll. And This Means War. So yeah, gotta love that. Okay, number 14 we have OU812 by Van Halen. So When It's Love, favourite track from that. Then Finish What You Started, and Sucker in a Three-Piece. I think this is one of the first albums Sammy Hagar did with him. I always preferred Hagar as a vocalist for Van Halen than Roth. Don't get me wrong, I like Roth as well, but preferred Hagar. But preferred Roth solo stuff, which we will get into. Now, number 13, we have No Rest for the Wicked by the Prince of Darkness himself, Ozzy Osbourne. Number 1, we have Miracle Man. Number 2, we have Crazy Babies. And number 3, we have Tattooed Dancer. So, yeah. Now, number 12. This one will be interesting for a lot of you people out there. We have Power Metal by Pantera. Now, this was the first album featuring Phil Anselmo on vocals. Now, this was actually the album they had before Cowboys from Hell. And like I said, the first album with Phil. And if you look at the album cover, oh my God. They look like freaking goddamn glam metal, but they didn't really sound like glam metal, so go figure. But anyway, it's a pretty decent album. So number 1 is Power Metal. Then number 2 is Over and Out. And number 3, PST 88. So, yeah, actually pretty good album. Now, number 11, second favourite album from these guys, we have New Jersey by Bon Jovi. Probably Slippery When Wet still my first, because Living on a Prayer is like the best song by them ever. But New Jersey has some pretty good ones as well, some crackers on that. We had Bad Medicine, number 1. Number 2, Lay Your Hands on Me, giggity. And Born to Be My Baby. That's a pretty decent track that wasn't released as a single, but still freaking bloody awesome anyway. Okay, now we get the top 10. Now, here, as I was saying before about Roth solo stuff, here we go. Number 10, we have Skyscraper by David Lee Roth. Just Like Paradise, number 1. Probably my most favourite song from him. Absolute cracker of a track. Skyscraper at number 2, which is so underrated. It's a banger of a track. And then Stand Up at number 3. But like I said, Roth had some damn good solo stuff. Number 9, we have Operation Mindcrime by Queensryche. Now, they did release an Operation Mindcrime 2, which I've never heard, so I've got to try and hunt that down. But favourite track from that is Revolution Calling. Number 2 is Operation Mindcrime, and number 3 is Speak. Now, the whole album is fantastic. It's my second favourite album from Queensryche, behind Empire. And a lot of lists I have seen people do on YouTube about pinnacle progressive metal albums. You know, there's usually always 2 or 3 Dream Theater ones that are always pinnacle there. But Operation Mindcrime by Queensryche always makes it on this list. So, there you go. I never really classed them as progressive metal, but there are many lists. So I went, oh, there you go. Bugging me with a fish fork there, obviously, yeah. So, yeah. Okay, number 8, we have So Far, So Good, So What by Megadeth. Now, yeah, pretty good album, this one, being one of the earlier ones. So we have In My Darkest Hour at number 1. Number 2, we have Set the World on Fire. And number 3, Into the Lungs of Hell. So yeah, wasn't a big fan of the cover of this song, but the whole album's pretty decent anyway. Kind of makes up for it. Alright, so at number 7, we have Vixen with their self-titled album, Vixen. And yeah, their debut album for this lovely bunch of girls. I swear their hair was so huge on these chicks, fair crack of the whip. But their first 2 albums, Vixen and Rev It Up, were 2 of the most amazing glam metal albums I've ever heard, to be honest. So my 3 favourite tracks on that: One Night Alone, Edge of a Broken Heart, which was partly written by Richard Marx, which was like, holy shit. And number 3 is Crying. But yeah, freaking for a debut album for a band, it's, you know, an absolute banger. Alright, number 6, Kings of Metal by Manowar. Now, we'll go right off the bat and say this is the album that got me into this freaking awesome band. I listened to it for the first time on LP, of all things. Some neighbours down the road had it actually on vinyl, had a bit of a listen. And yeah, it's probably one of the best, coolest metal covers I've ever seen too. Freaking awesome looking cover. So yeah, I actually have 4 favourite tracks for this album. We have Kings of Metal, Wheels of Fire, Hail and Kill, and Kingdom Come. Eric Adams, he's one of the best metal vocalists I've ever heard, seriously. But yeah, Kings of Metal, definitely a cracker with that one. Then we have, at number 5, Open Up and Say Ah by Poison. Not the Doctor, but Poison. So look, the whole album is freaking amazing. There's some glam metal albums that came out in the 80s which were absolute bangers. But I'd say, look, Nothing But a Good Time, definitely number 1. Fallen Angel, number 2. And number 3, probably one of the best power ballads ever written, Every Rose Has Its Thorn. Kind of based on a true story, that one, but we won't go into that details. But like I said, that whole album is a banger, so yeah, very interesting cover at the same time as well. Okay, number 4, we have Odyssey by Yngwie Malmsteen. Again, I have 4 standout tracks of this, even though the whole album was great. Rising Force at number 1, Hold On at number 2, number 3, Heaven Tonight, and number 4, Right in the Dungeon. Now, my mates used to pay me out about liking Hold On because they reckon it was a really gay song, but I went, I don't care, it's great. So, there you go. Take that up your cake hole. Okay, now, and number 3, here we go. The bronze position we have, Ram It Down by Judas Priest. So, obviously, number 1 track is Ram It Down. Then Blood Red Skies. And number 3, we have Love You to Death. Now, the guys copped a bit of flack for this album because I did a bit of some research previously on it, and apparently they used drum machines for a lot of this album, which a few people weren't overly happy about, including the drummer. So this is what happens. I mean, I still thought the album was pretty sweet, cool cover. You know, it's one they had before, what do you call it, Painkiller. So yeah, still a good album. I liked it. Yeah. Okay, number 2. Well, what can I say? And Justice for All by Metallica. Oh, this album was a fracking banger, seriously. The whole album is great. But number 1, this song has always been my favourite on this album, and probably my top 5 Metallica songs as well, and that's Blackened. Oh, God, how good is that song, seriously. 1 and number 2. And then number 3, we have title track and Justice for All. Now, this was the first album with Jason Newsted on bass. After Cliff Burton passed away on tour, on the Master of Puppets tour, Jason did the 598 EP to sort of like welcome him to the band, and this was his first full album. A lot of people complaining that there's not much bass in the album. I mean, totally, to be honest, I didn't really notice, because, you know, to me the whole album is freaking fantastic, especially the drums in it. The bass drum in Krill is so crisp and clear. But, you know, it's one of their best albums, so yeah, it's still a classic in my eyes. And at number 1, was there any doubt, my friends? Number 1 for me is Seventh Son of a Seventh Son by Iron Maiden. Would there be any other doubt? It is my favourite Iron Maiden after all. So, yeah. Okay, so we have, at number 1, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. Number 2, we have Moonchild. And number 3, we have Infinite Dreams. Now, this whole album is fantastic from go to woe, all killer, no filler. Even the B-side tracks that they released were freaking amazing. It was also classed as a concept album. It's actually based on a book called Seventh Son, written by some dude freaking years before. But the downside of it, it was the last album featuring Adrian Smith on guitar. He decided to make like Tom and Cruise after that. And he did obviously come back to the band in like 99, just before they released Brave New World. But yeah, he was missed, but he did end up joining Dickinson on his solo albums before he came back to Maiden. So he was sorely missed. I mean, Yannick Gers replaced him. Nothing against Yannick, but he just ain't no Adrian. But yeah, well, as I said, I've done talk about Seventh Son previously and how good of an album it is. Artwork's great. The singles were great. Everything was great. It's a banger, corker, cracker, rip snorter, whatever you want to say. But yeah, so my friends, that was the long, exhausting list. So let me just take a drink of water here because it was so exhausting. Yeah, so that was 88. What a year. I mean, there probably were other albums I could have mentioned, but you know, I could have had room for 20 at this stage. But wait till I do my top 50 Iron Maiden songs. You guys will go, oh my god. But anyway, my friends, that is 1988 and all 20 Rip Snorter albums that released that year. So until next time, mosh on.